infrastructure sector, power, roads, ports, airports. The problem is there are a large number of projects that have not been completed. There are some projects that are completed but the raw material is not there. Like gas availability, price of gas, and so there is no earnings on the money invested on the ground. Last mile approval is always a problem in India, and there are many incomplete projects that we need to get completed so the revenue starts. Today there is ample power capacity in India, but the power producers, the generators are not producing enough power because they say that the electricity boards are not buying enough power from us because they are not able to pay the rates. So there is surplus power today, but electricity boards are not buying power from the generators. So money has gone into infrastructure, and we must also recognize that infrastructure was a domain of the government. In the last 10 years, the government has opened up private sector involvement, PPPs and joint sector and public-private participation. So we are making the rules as we go along. Even toll roads have had ups and downs, and many toll roads which were approved were then taken away, and those who have built the roads are in a dire situation, they are not being paid. So it's a learning by trial and error has cost the government and cost the Indian entrepreneurs a lot of money, and the banks suffered because of that.
Good evening. I am Professor Deepak, and this question is with relation to the not performing of assets. Is now we find that the Supreme Court has come in, and they have said, please give us the details of all defaulters of more than 500 crores. Whether this 500 crores will be 100 crores, and what this decision of the Supreme Court will really. Yeah. The problem is that my voice. I was a little slow, sir.
I'm Professor Deepak from JBMS. The question here is finally non-performing assets has become such a big story. And finally the Supreme Court has to come into play. And the Supreme Court has made a statement that they've asked all the nationalized banks and private banks, those people who are taking loans for more than 500 crores, they have to report it to the bank. Whether this will bring any change in those people who are not willing to pay, the willful defaulters as we call them, and whether this 500 crores should have been 100 crores. I think 500 crores was already too much. So if 100 crores should have been a decision, I don't know.
We need many more judges in the Supreme Court if they have to start looking at this. We will need many more Supreme Court judges if they have to look at it. And I don't think Supreme Court has asked the bank. Supreme Court has asked the Reserve Bank or something. Reserve Bank. I don't see. The only thing they can do is they can take up the cases which are pending of those entrepreneurs, those industrialists on a fast track. If they're not paying the banks and there's an overdue of over 500 crores, they can fast track the pending litigation because there's a lot of litigation against the defaulters, which is taking a long time, which is hurting the banks.
Thank you.
Let us have some questions from the students. Yeah, we'll give students a chance. No? Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. You talked about this MPAs, divide banking sector into two. One, recently developed into the private sector. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you have to be a bit clearer. Yeah, okay. And the student, if there's any student, please come forward here so that we don't waste time. Or whoever would like to ask the next question can kindly come here.
Would like to divide this into two aspects. For 2 decades, we have seen the private sector banks has taken a shape, put the foot, and has done a remarkable job, if I may say, in only 2 decades. Their NPS coming down to 4.1% right now on an average. Talking of this has bank for 46 years now. Every year we are taking the money out and taxpayers' money and as you rightly said, about a couple of 100,000 crore rupees going in the public sector funding the money which is going in. I would like to wonder on a couple of suggestions which I would like to give and have your opinion on that, sir. One is the concept of nationalization. In 1969, when it was done, as you rightly said, inclusion to the people inside the interiors of India. Today, you also mentioned number of tools available to reach Jan Dhan Yojana and mobile banking and others, which takes care of that particular aspect of reaching the inclusive interior of the country. Is it not a time to think about the concept of nationalization is updated? Can it be thought of that nationalization should be de-nationalized in two aspects? One, either give to the private owners who would like to take those banks, one, and if there's a trade union difficulty which is going to be the case from the banker employees, then government can decide about keeping the ownership with them, management to the private entity. Thank you, sir.
I think that's what I said when I said that we have to change our mindset if we want the public sector banks to turn around. Non-performing loans will continue, capital will come from the government, again you will get NPAs. The management has to improve, but the management must get a free hand. Today, it's not that the PSU management is not competent or not capable. They have much more constraints than the management of a private sector bank. If a private sector manager makes a mistake, he's not hauled out, he's not questioned, CVC doesn't come to his house, CAG doesn't audit him, he gets a tick off or something, one year promotion he will not get or he will not get an increment. But PSU banks, unfortunately, the 3 C's are applicable to them. And that is what is they are unable to take faster decisions. So, we have to give protection to the PSU bank employees on thinking, then they can take quicker decisions. But we don't give that. The Vigilance Commission, the CAG and the Economic Offence Wing. So we have to empower the management of the public sector banks. They have got experience. They have worked in the banks for many years. They can deliver equally good results. But we need to give them authority and empowerment and not go after them if they make a mistake.
Good evening, everybody. Myself, Dr. Dawani. I want to have one question. Now, recently in the newspapers, the ratio of NPAs has been declared, and it is so heavy, there happens to be problem created in the minds of depositors. Do you think that will adversely affect the depositors?
I don't think so. As long as the public in India, no bank has gone belly up. The government has always stepped in, the Reserve Bank has always stepped in and supported, be it a private or a public sector bank. Particularly a public sector, if a private sector bank's market cap is 0.3% of its book value, no one will put deposits with it. The reason there is no run, the reason the public is confident is because majority of the ownership is with the government. So I don't think you need to worry about the depositors' risk if you put money in any bank.
Thank you.
Sir, good evening. I am Professor Srinivasan from JBMS. And Dr. Srinivasan from JBMS. It's a wonderful presentation. During that, you said online business 50 billion turnover now. Recently, I was hearing that reports, whichever that unicorn club, so-called online retailers, all valuation in unicorn club. But I don't think any Indian banks are investing, except 4 companies. If you say out of 10 top retailers, online retailers, everybody investment came from international. That business model also is from gross merchandising value, GMV. Is it what we are doing in business, or is it what the business model is all about? As from banker's perspective, would you like to invest on this type of businesses? Thank you.
See, the problem Indian banking sector has is that we have very limited resources allowed to be invested in equity. RBI has stipulated that equity investment in banks must be limited to a certain % of your net worth. And beyond that, you cannot. Now, Now, most of the banks, if you know, have got their insurance companies, asset management, non-life and other companies and subsidiaries. So they've already reached their limit. Like when HDFC Bank has overreached, has gone over the limit because we give limits to, we are the leading bankers for Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange. So we give lines of credit to all the international agencies, the domestic broking community for settlement of trades, for settlement of deals. Now all that exposure is considered as capital market exposure. And you cannot give more than 20% of your net worth. You cannot have more than 20% of your net worth in capital market exposure. Most banks have reached there because either they have the subsidiaries where there is equity, or they have lending to the broking community or the internet or the asset management companies. So there is limited scope for investment in equity by banks.
Your view on gross merchandising value on the business valuation, because entire business investments happening on GMV.
I'm an old person. I don't believe in such huge valuations. And they are coming down, and they are coming down rapidly.
Thank you. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, so I think we'll go into the vote of thanks now.
We now close the question and answer session. Thank you, audience, and thank you, sir. I would like to call upon Dr. Chavan, Director of Janarlal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, to propose a vote of thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my proud privilege to propose a vote of thanks. At the outset, I thank Sri Deepak Parekh for his most insightful talk on the changing macro landscape of India. I am sure that his observation will imbibe and acted upon by the predominantly young audience of today's evening. I thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, for gracing the occasion and sharing his inspiring ideas. I thank President of Indian Merchant Chamber, Sri Dilip Dirangar, and Vice President Sri Deepak Prem Narayan, Director General Sri Arvind Pradhan and his Managing Committee for their support and cooperation. I also express my gratitude to Sri Neeraj Bajaj, Sri Dilip Dandekar, Sri Ram Gandhi, both past President of INC and officials of INC, for their role in instituting the Provincial Gandhi Chair at Janarlal Bajaj Institute. I am also grateful to Dr. M.A. Khan, Registrar, and Dr. Anil Patil, Director DCUD, and other university officials for their blessings and gracing the occasion. I thank the present one and all dignitaries, faculty, students, and staff of JDMS and staff of General Administration Department, University of Mumbai, for their cooperation. Last but not least, I thank the wonderful audience for making this oration a great success. Thank you very much.